for some of my work on for my Patreon. So
cool.
Yeah.
All the differences in the various like dialects and stuff is so cool to me.
It's one of the coolest things about Tolkien for me.
Yeah.
I absolutely love all
Well, and that was his gift, right? He was a linguist. I mean, an amazing linguist.
Yeah, I having studied at Presidio Monterey when I was in the Air Force, which is Defense Language Institute. Yeah, I got a kind of an affection for languages too.
Yeah.
All right, so we are live. We're on our pre-stream view, but your voices are live, so your mics are hot.
They can hear us. They know we're here. Okay, we're seeing a couple folks.
Yep. I don't know. I've been geeked up about this all day long. I just, Loremaster Arcanum is it's the most low-key thing for me. There's so little prep. I mean, I do some prep, obviously. Sometimes I have highlighted articles from Dragon Mag, but compared to the DM demands of, commanding the audience and dealing with killing players and like all the stuff that we've had to do in the last 24 hours.
No spoilers.
I just said that was general. That was general. I didn't say that happened last night or which players, but
yeah, I keep seeing people post in Discord as they've been watching last night's episode, and I'm like,
oh, I know. It's like it's blowing up. I know. Everybody is distraught at best.
Yeah. It could have happened Sunday, Chris. That is very true. It got very close there.
Oh my gosh, Sunday, yeah, that was very close. So our Sunday campaign with our Rune Lords. Hey, Abyssal DM, good to see you. Oh, thank you so much for the sub, Abyssal DM. That means a lot to us. We love all the support from the community. You guys are great. And man, I'm so excited about tonight. We have a legend on with us tonight. Carlos Lising, not Lising, of Casl Entertainment, and he is a savant. I talked to him for a good long time in the last week, and it was amazing. And as soon as we talk, I got to get you on my stream. I mean, I want to really explore this with him. I'm not trying to put pressure on you, but hey, Select Striker 2, good to see you. And
well, it's no pressure at all. It's a pleasure to be here, and I just love talking the hobby in any aspect. So yeah, whatever. I'm good with it.
Well, I think well said, man. Talking the hobby, that's my thing.
That's the best part about Loremaster's Arcanum.
Oh, there's our good buddy Snafu. Hey, what's up,
Snafu? Good to see you, Bill. Thanks so much for joining with us.
It's David.
David, that's what I meant, David. Sorry, I get those mixed up. David, thanks so much for joining us tonight. And thank you, as always, Evelyn, for keeping me on track.
David is one of those guys that, as a guy myself who loves Greyhawk, he's one of those great Greyhawk scholars whose work I really... Hey, there's Anna Meyer, speaking of Greyhawk people. People I really enjoy.
Golly. Okay, I'm intimidated now. I've got David and Anna B. Meyer on. David... his last name is Leonard, and of course you have Leonard that comes on the show. First name Leonard. I got those mixed up initially, which was I was kind of shamed by. But anyway, it's going to be a great night. And I'm going to go ahead and kick this stream off early. We got 25 seconds, but I just cannot wait. And we got limited time with Carlos tonight, so I want to make sure we get to the topics at hand. So,
right.
Welcome, Blue Box fans. We're so excited to have with us tonight, of course, as always, our amazing Evelyn, Theater Evie on all socials. But then also tonight we're joined by Carlos Lising. He is the CEO and founder of Casl Entertainment. And if you don't know Casl Entertainment, you've been hiding under a D&D rock. And you will know what Casl Entertainment is certainly very, very shortly. And I just think it's going to be a really, really fun show tonight. So, first of all, shout outs to all of our sponsors. Thank you, Dragon Crafting Guild, makers of awesome dice trays. We've got Atris Minis, the most incredible mini painter. And he assembled and painted this thing, and this is just one of many he has done for us. Atris is an absolute genius and one of the best sponsors you could possibly have. We're so thankful to him. Also grateful to Frederica Draws. She does a lot of the artwork for all of our campaigns, both our Sunday campaign, our Rune Lords, also our Tuesday Night Greyhawk Awakening campaign, and she's amazing. And I think I forgot one, Evelyn. Who did I forget?
I think
Is that it?
everyone.
Did I cover them all? Okay, all right.
I think that's everyone.
But we got new ones. Oh, no. Of course I forgot one.
Oh, Mantic!
Yeah.
Sorry.
So we are now sponsored by Mantic Games.
Should have had that other cup of coffee.
Yeah, exactly. Mantic Games, these guys make all kinds of cool minis and terrain. They are the makers of Terrain Crate. So if you don't recognize the name Mantic, you probably recognize that logo. It's in almost every hobby shop all across the U.S. They're an international company, very, very influential in the community, and we're so excited now to be sponsored by Terrain Crate, Mantic Games. Those giveaways and table things are going to be on our table here really soon. And then I've got a new one probably in the next few days, maybe two actually, that I'll be talking about. One is a sponsorship, one is a partnership, and really, really good stuff. And then thanks to all of our friends in the community. Yes, Steve, you know who you are. Steve helped us, Blood Wild, get that Mantic relationship set up, and he's actually involved in one of the other two exciting things we have going on right now. All right. So without any further delay, because I want to make sure we get as much of the content in with Carlos tonight as we possibly can. Thank you, my friend. Let me breathe here. That was probably a bit frantic, right? I enjoyed our conversation last week tremendously, and I think I'd like to start with a more general question for you, which is, talk to me about why you like role play. What got you into D&D?
Well, my experience with D&D is I was a very young man living in Chicago when I was growing up, and I remember one of my good friends, my best friend at the time, John, getting a copy of the Holmes Basics set for Christmas, and it was sitting on his table. We used to play video games down there all the time. We had a console, and I just kept looking at it, and I thought it was really neat, and I was like, why don't we give this a try? He's like, nah, I don't think I'll ever play it or whatever. And I just kept looking at it. I said, come on, let's just give it a try. So we did. And he'd read through the books already one time. And I remember playing a low-level magic user. I was a first-level magic user, and we were going through the stock dungeon in, the Xenopus Tower in the Holmes Basic. And I didn't get the memo that I wasn't Gandalf. I died in room number 2. I went a carrion crawler because I didn't understand the fact that I could only cast one spell a day. But I was hooked. I was utterly hooked. I thought it was the greatest thing ever. I saw all the potential in it because, unlike a video game, I was a huge video game guy at the time. It was very, it's so open-ended, and there's no walls. There's no walls. It's only limited by what you want to do, what you can do, as far as your imagination goes. And I saw that potential right away. And I think to this day, that is what I love about roleplay, is I find that here is a medium in which there really is no limit to it. It's only, I find myself, 40 some years later, after playing it for the first time, I am constantly finding new things I love about it, constantly finding new ways to play it, new hooks to throw in there, new monsters, new magic items, do whatever. It's so cool in that it allows you to get into touch with your creative side. It allows you to get into touch with things that you didn't even know you had inside of you. And in addition to that, the way that it's allowed me to create friendships that I would never have otherwise throughout my lifetime. It has been such a tool for evolution, personal evolution for me.
Yeah, bravo. Yes, exactly.
It's beyond belief.
No, I mean, that's fantastic. Carlos, I could not agree more. And, that...
by the way, one of your viewers mentioned my playoff beard. My Blackhawks got eliminated the other day. So
I know. I didn't want to say anything, but you're freshly shorn.
Playoff beard's got to go.
I was a little I probably wouldn't have had you on tonight if I'd known the beard was going to be gone. But no, I'm just kidding.
Oh, well, he grew it back on personally.
But no, that's so true, because I've said that on a couple of our previous streams. There is something about role playing and the sort of D&D world, which is ever new, ever wondrous, ever. I like CRPGs. I've played, I've finished Skyrim. I did the old Baldur's Gate, Neverwinter Nights, Pool of Radiance, Icewind Dale. I played all those things, and they're fun. But there is nothing that gives you that sense of absolute freedom. And maybe at some point in the future we'll have an AI that will be able to give us that same thing, but I don't see it anywhere now, and that's what I love about this game. I think that's what you and I really connected.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if we wanted to play Baldur's Gate, you're in the world of Baldur's Gate. If you want to play Skyrim, you're in the world of Skyrim. As a DM, though, I can jump between game worlds seamlessly and just make it as expansive as I want to be. Or I can make my own thing, and without buying the necessity of buying software, without the necessity of doing anything like that. It is literally only limited by what you personally feel like you can and want to do.
That's exactly right. That's the joy, and that's the thing I've mentioned this before. I'm not someone that watches movies multiple times. I've only got a few books that I'll read more than once. I'm a kind of a one and done. I get bored with things, but I never get bored with D&D. I never get tired of the ever sort of newness of the game and things that change. Every time I sit down at the table as a player, which is pretty rare, but a couple times a year I get to play, or as a DM, it just creates that ever. So I want to talk to you tonight about a few things. One, I want to dive into Casl Entertainment. I want to understand what the Rook is all about, because you are, Carlos the Rook Lising, the Raven. I'm a chess guy too, so that's all. And I've never asked you this, so I want to, going to hit you with this. And then I want to get into your content, your modules, running one-shots, how to create good adventures. So that's kind of the agenda for the day.
Yeah.
But let's start with that first question. What is the Rook? And tell us about your logo.
Well, the logo right away. I mean, Casl Entertainment is the brand, but people know me as the Rook. And one of the reasons they know me as the Rook, well, that kind of distills a lot of things into one thing. Well, ravens have black feathers, and as anybody knows, I've got black hair for days, jet black hair. But I've also was really always compelled by the fact that ravens are so intelligent.
Right.
They're very social animals. I'm a huge Norse mythology fan, and Odin's
Very cool.
Memory. But more than that, I had an episode maybe about a year before I started Casl Entertainment. I was walking out of work. I had a really bad day. It was really mentally draining. I was getting ready to cross the street, and this giant crow came out off one of the wires and landed in front of me and sat there and cawed at me. I looked down at it like, what in the world is this? And a truck comes flying past. I would have gotten run over for sure.
Are you kidding me? No, this is mythology. This is not real.
I'm serious. That actually happened. If you want to go back a few years, you can look at the Facebook
post
I put up where I couldn't believe it actually happened. And I was kind of looked at it, and the thing just kind of looked at me again and flew away after it was all over with. And I was like, wow, I guess this is that's something.
It's your spirit animal. It's your totem, right? It's your.
Yeah, it was kind of a neat formative experience on me. Well, I'm a Dungeons and Dragons player, so castles are important to me. And what is better than a rook, which is another name for a raven,
right?
On a rook.
Rook on a rook.
Yeah, people call me that for a long time now. So.
Well.
That's what the Rook. That is what the Casl Entertainment thing is.
I love that. I'm actually jealous. I didn't think of that. No, that's super cool. Hey, thank you everybody for joining us. Yeah, sorry, Gimbal is about the same as he was last night. We'll stop there because I don't want to have any spoilers. But if you haven't watched last night's Greyhawk Awakening,
do it.
Yeah, you should. Do it. But the whole the gimbal. Wow. Woo. But good to see all of you. Sasha Scorn. This is a great shirt, Bill. Don't hate on this shirt.
We got to get you one of these though, buddy.
Hey, look, I don't think I would have rocked it tonight if you would have sent it to me. But I will gladly do so. Okay, so I want to dive, before we get into the sort of conceptual stuff on one-shots and module, we got a lot of players on here, we got a lot of DMs. We always have a high concentration of other DMs or content creators on Loremasters Arcanum. So I always like to make sure I'm speaking to that group. But I really want to talk about your company, Casl Entertainment, and your website. So I'm going to bring the site up here. Right here, it should be up on the screen. And tell us about how you created it, what this description means, and then why don't you direct us to anything you'd like us to really see on the site, and I'll kind of navigate here.
Well, first off, Casl Entertainment started when I was going to, I went to GaryCon one year, and one of my good friends, one of the guys that I think is a shining light in the hobby that not enough people know about is Alan Grohe, great Greyhawk scholar, and he really helps keep the setting alive. He plays a very old school brand of 1E that I find really compelling, a very Gygaxian viewpoint of the old school. He's also the half of the brains behind Black Blade Publishing. So I hold Alan in extremely high esteem, and when I found out he was running a game, a Casl Greyhawk game at GaryCon, I was like, I gotta play. So I made the trek back to Wisconsin and went ahead and played in the game. And of course, it was dynamite. Yeah, anyone who's ever played with Alan knows it's going to be like that. But I decided the next year I wanted to run something. Mostly I was going to do it so I could have Alan as a player. I wanted to say, you know what, that was really cool of you to do that. I want to run something for you now. Well, of course he couldn't play, but I'm one of those kind of people that when I'm starting a project, I get about halfway through it. It's supposed to be maybe 5 pages. And I'm like, you know what, wouldn't it be cool if I added this? Wouldn't it be cool if I had a professional quality map? Would it be cool if I made an old school encounter key or a rumor table for this? Mm-hmm. One thing ended up leading to another, and I finally ended up, well, what if I had a cool cover for this? And I actually published it, just to give it away to the most valuable player. So I ran the game, and the way that happened was very bizarre in and of itself. They have in GaryCon all these VIP rooms. Well, I ran the game first thing in the morning, and I gangstered one of those things. Even though you're supposed to pay, even though they're not really for general consumption, I ended up in one of those rooms, and I had a 12-person table. Talk about old school Gygaxian. Luke Gygax is one of my players. I'm surrounded around the table by all these old school Greyhawk hardcore people like Mike Bridges, that I hold in all this esteem. And I'm thinking to myself, this is really happening right now. Okay, well, I guess I better bring my A game. So I ran the module. It was called Kill Marquesa. It was all based around one of the greatest Greyhawk villains of all time, in my opinion, is Marquesa, who is one of the slave lords. She's one of their main or commanders, I should say. And she is she's a real piece of work. I guess she's sort of like the Dr. Mengele of Greyhawk. Truly no one much more evil than she is.
Right.
Well, I ran the game, and everybody loved it. And I gave out the book to the most valuable player, and everybody kind of stopped when they saw it around the table. It's like, where did you get this? This is published Greyhawk content. I started getting question after question. I'm like, no, this is just a mock-up. This is just me having fun. Oh, I'd buy that. Oh, really?
Ah, okay. Yeah.
Oh, really? Oh, okay. And I'm sitting here thinking to myself, wow, this is really something. Well, one of my players, whose name is JC Luxton at the table, said, hey, are you doing anything later tonight? Throw together a pickup game. Well, I had nothing planned. So I went upstairs to my room at the hotel, and I totally Tony Starked it. I remember in the first Iron Man movie when he goes into the cave, and he started just with spare parts and everything, I cut up all these little tiny pieces of paper and did a total Charles Bukowski style, a stream of thought putting things together. And the next thing I knew, I had a game. Well, the pickup game went off even maybe better than the Kill Marquesa game. And they said, you got to do something next year. Well, next year was the first. I came the next year, and I thought to myself, well, I guess I'm going to do this professionally. So that's how Casl Entertainment was born. It was born from those 2 pickups, or those sessions, and how well they went, how well received it was. What I found out was that people were starving in the community for new Greyhawk material. Now, to respect IP, Wizards IP, which is important to me, I can't write Greyhawk per se, but what I can do is I can write it with the numbers filed off of it. You know, the free city of Greyhawk just becomes the free city.
Right.
Witch Queen Igwilyn just becomes the Witch Queen.
Right.
Things like that.
And can I interrupt real quick? So I think the hunger is not just about Greyhawk content, although that's certainly out there. And yes, I am repping the shirt here tonight, and I will rep your shirt anytime, Carlos. But it's also just for old school dungeon development style. Like we've seen a lot of changes, and there's good content out there. I'm not hating on anything else, but the way I've looked at your dungeons, the way you develop them, they really harken back to those original eras of dungeon development, which give the DM guidance, but a lot of freedom and a framework. And I think that's probably what people are also really interested in.
It was important to me to do that. For one thing, we're, in my opinion, any of us who play that old school style, we're all children of Gygax. I think the newer school people are too. They're just like they're like the grandkids, but we're the actual first generation kids of Gygax.
That's a great way to look at it. I like that. Yeah.
And
grandkids are always spoiled.
I try and glorify his work. I try and give as much back to that community as I can. But also, I knew I'd be running these things at GaryCon, and it was a celebration of Gary's life. So I want to write the books like he had written them, as closely as I could. And I thought it was really important. It was important to me to call back those style things that I knew that people would be able to recognize, instantaneously. This is something that Gary, would have done, or at least in style wise. Some of the syntax and things like that. Yeah. Well, anyway, after I was done with those first modules, the next thing I knew, I'm actually publishing full time. As far as that goes, I mean, I've got a full time job in and of itself. I work a 40, like I know most people do. But in addition to that, I'm now running Casl Entertainment. We have about 15 different modules. I'm working on the 16th as we speak. In fact, tonight I'm hoping to finish it outright tonight. It's called To the City of the Elder Gods. It is my loving homage to Warden Kanan's Fantastic Adventure, and also my loving homage to some of the Lovecraftian themes in that book. Wow! I think that, it's Cthulhu Hawk, really. Yeah,
that's fantastic. No, look, I absolutely love that. And by the way, I don't know if I've mentioned this. I might have mentioned it on my stream, but formal announcement: we will, for our Greyhawk Open campaign, during the virtual Greyhawk Con, and I'll pop that up here in a second. Evelyn, maybe you can pop the creds in the Discord.
Threw that in there a little while ago.
Virtual Greyhawk Con coming up October 2nd through October 4th. And Blue Box will have 2 streams. Carlos, we got Will, Jay, Gygax. Luke Gygax is going to be playing in one of Jay's campaigns. We've got an all-star. It's going to be an amazing event. If you're not already signed up, and I think we got a lot of sort of Kool-Aid drinkers here on the stream already, so you're probably already signed up. But if you're not, check out Virtual Greyhawk Con October 2nd through October 4th. It's going to be absolutely fantastic. And then I will be featuring one of Carlos's one-shot modules on my Friday Open campaign on October 2nd. So the Sunday, the 4th campaign will be my normal Greyhawk Awakening. And it's going to say normal. It's not going to be normal at all, but it's going to be a normal cadence, normal players. But on Friday, we're going to feature one of Carlos' materials from Casl Entertainment on our stream, and he and I are going to collaborate on that. Maybe put a couple twists on it and do something really, really fun. So super excited about that, Carlos. And
man, I got to tell you, as a creator, there's nothing more gratifying than when people either do something with it, they find what you've done to be worthwhile enough that they want to do it themselves. They want to run something you've written, or they tell you, hey, this encounter was really cool. I mean, that's the kind of thing that's meat and drink to you as a creator.
Sure.
Things that keep you really going.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think
when you told me that, I couldn't. I mean, talk about letting your heart sing at that point in time.
Very nice. All right, so hey, quick shout out. Thank you again, Jay. Cold Steel Penguin for sure. Hang out. We always raid Jay at the end of the stream, so we're going to go another 30 minutes or so, and then we're going to raid Jay Scott into Lord Gasumba's channel. But thank you to everybody. Good to see Christoph on with us tonight. Anna, David. Holy smokes, we've got the constellation of Greyhawk luminaries on with us tonight, which is super cool. That's all you, Carlos. Amanda Ruth, thank you so much.
I don't think so. You do such a great job with the show, and yeah, I mean, I'm seeing people over here in the audience right now that people that I think are just pillars of the community, like Christoph and Jay and Anna and Mike Bridges. People like that are just they're the heartbeat of what we're doing right now. I mean, great without official support by Wizards of the Coast. Greyhawk is being kept alive by the fans right now. I mean,
which I'm super excited about. I mean, I know that
it has since.
Yeah.
It truly has. Wizards has pulled the carpet out from under us several times. So this is not something that we're not used to. I mean, I feel like it's almost like the French underground resistance at times. After a while, you get kind of used to the whole. Hey, it's time again, guys. To harken back to what you guys do in your campaign. Gondor calls for aid. I mean, it's. So all of us rally around and we do the things that we do. Christoph with Earth Journal, for example, or Jay with his channels. I mean, it's just...
Or Anna with her maps.
Anna with her maps. Mike with his blog.
Oh, yeah.
His blog. I mean, it's just... Everybody contributes in their own way, and I think it's really amazing. It's really cool stuff.
It is, and to me, it's almost more exciting than corporately developed content. And that's not to say that I would not like to see... WOTC do something new with Greyhawk. You'd love to have the huge corporate engine developing content, but I love this sort of guerrilla warfare ground root support for this community, and to me it makes it feel more authentic and more organic, and I don't know, I love it. It's actually something that draws me to it. So I'm going to stop here because
it seems like there's two minds of community, and I'm not going to say which. They're both valid.
Sure. Yeah. I get.
But
yeah.
The one school of thought is, hey, without official support of Greyhawk by Wizards, the setting is eventually going to die because not enough eyes are getting exposed to it. Not enough people are getting. That's one school of thought. So we need that official support. But on the other side of the equation, people are like, well, every time they touch it, they ruin a little bit more of it. So maybe we're better off without them. So yeah. I don't know what the right answer is there. I've got my own opinions on that, which actually lie kind of in the middle between the two of them.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Because it feels to me like I'm not saying like I eschew the corporate lore masters, right? I mean, if they want to do something, that's great. But there's also something to be said for you don't need corporate sponsorship or eyes. How much old school music from the 60s and 70s, which is not sponsored by any label or pushed forward by anybody, still gets played and gets attention? How many open print books, things which are now in the general domain and no longer under any IP ownership, still draw attention? I think we can create something here with Greyhawk. Sorry, were you laughing at me, Evelyn?
No, I was laughing at David's comment in chat there.
Oh, what a Dave. Okay, so I'm sorry.
I think you're absolutely right, John, in that, to me, I feel like this, though, that the music industry is a great example of this. Because right now, has there ever been a time in music history since the beginning of actually recorded music that labels have had less power?
No, never.
It's indie artists that are driving everything right now because you can do everything at home in studios. You can release to SoundCloud or Bandcamp or iTunes, wherever you want to go to, and you can actually get your music distributed in a way where you can make the money. You can have control over it. This is all things that Casl Entertainment is built on. That idea is what we're doing. Except we don't go through a lot of the channels like they do, where they have things that are analogous more like to Drive Through RPG or DM.
Right.
What I do, the way I've eschewed those is, number one, I tried to go through DM Guild at first, but I was never happy with their quality. And as I thought about it more and more, I'm like, why am I being beholden to somebody else's quality standard anyway? I'm going to just, and Amanda and I talked about it. Amanda's my wife, for those of you in the audience who don't know. She's a merchandise Valkyrie. She's half of what I do, and she is.
She's incredible, by the way. Like I've only texted with her in. Well, first of all, in your IG, so like there's no, I'm not dropping in her DMs or anything like that. But I like her better than you. She's super responsive.
She's but anyway, we talked about it. We said, you know what? My wife's an Australian citizen, so she's got all the Aussiisms, and she's like, in for a penny, in for a pound. Let's do this the right way. Let's create our website.
That's awesome.
She built the website. for us, and I'm just in charge of writing all the stuff. She's the one that does all the advertising and all that good stuff. When you get mail from us, that's her. I'm the one writing the cards and things like that. But she's really one of the driving forces behind it. And I just remember thinking to myself, you know what? We're actually doing this as an independent publisher now, truly as an indie, and it's something I take a lot of pride in. I mean, when I was a kid, I always imagined writing the great American novel or writing for a comic book company or something like that. And in my mind's eye, I was like, wouldn't it be cool if I could write D&D adventures professionally?
Right.
I always imagine, Gary Gygax is my boss walking into the office and sitting there saying, I don't really like this encounter, Carlos. You need to tighten this up over here. What's up with this map? This is garbage over here. Oh, but I do like this. Little did I know I would actually be doing this the way I am, but it's really gratifying. I mean, it's kind of fulfilling a dream of mine that I've had since I was little.
Man, that is that's fantastic. And so, Evelyn, I want to do two things. One, I want you to ask a couple questions because you've been very patient, and I know you've got great thoughts here. So I'm going to give you a second to think about that. I also want the chat. We got lots of folks on the chat, lots of old school role players, but also new folks too. Many people who've been brought into the community through Blue Box or through Jay and Lord Gasumba, and so we want you to ask questions about old school role play, module development. Ask questions of Carlos. Pop anything in the chat. Also, we do have Christoph on tonight. I want to give a shout out to the whole Greyhawk Online community, the wiki, Orth Journal. This is fantastic. I did some editing in this one. My contribution was this big, but I've got an article that I'm working on for number 34, and also some artwork. So I'll have probably a bigger spot in 34. And this is exactly the kind of fan-created content and community content, which I think could again propel this community up above and into the spotlight of WOTC or others. I think if they see there's enough interest in the community, they're going to latch onto it. And so a huge thank you to all those luminaries that Carlos already mentioned that are really pushing this community forward, and I'm so glad to be a part of it.
Well, don't forget, too, since we're going to bring up Earth Journal and what Christoph is doing, don't forget that people like Eric Mona actually came out of that community.
Yes.
So, I mean, you're right from, there's that old saying that, from tiny acorns, mighty oaks grow, and the person that you see in Earth Journal tomorrow, whose article you kind of skip over maybe a little bit, they could be the next megastar.
Why, thank you. I appreciate you. Really think I will be?
I think so. I
no,
totally
look. I run on my Sunday campaign. It's it's Pathfinder. I run a lot of open gaming license stuff. So I think that's such a great point, Carlos. Thank you. All right, Evelyn. Comments, thoughts, questions.
I don't know.
Well, I'm not trying to put you on the spot.
We're just meeting for the first time.
I've just been modding mostly.
You're killing it, by the way. I'm seeing I'm so enthralled with the conversation. I'm barely paying attention to the chat, but yeah, he is.
We have a good question from chat right now from David Leonard. He's asking, who's your next Uber villain after Marquesa?
Ooh.
Okay, well, I play tested in the last module that we wrote. I'm kind of looking over my shoulder to see if I have a copy of it. Yeah, I do have I have a mock copy of it right here. I wrote From Dark Roses, Black Thorns Grow. Okay, this is just the prelim copy of it, but a lot of my patrons should have it in their hot little hands right now. Two of Marquesa's lieutenants back from the day were Blackthorn and Icar. They were also in Secret of the Slaver Stockade. So there are the next slave lords that the heroes will be going after in that trilogy. However, the book I'm working on right now is To the City of the Elder Gods, and I'm finishing up right now. And this whole thing was going to be released at GaryCon last year. I was writing it for Mike Bridges, almost specifically, because I know that Mike Bridges, he plays in my games a lot of the time, and Mike is a huge fan of Eli Tomaras, the villain from Morgan Kane's Fantastic Adventure / Mauer Castle.
Right.
I really wanted to do something with Tomaras, and so that I could, I thought it would be something that Michael would really enjoy. And of course, Gary Cod didn't come off, but I really like the idea. Right now, I think I'm at page 87 or 88 of it. It'll probably be about 100 pages when I'm done.
Wow.
First of a trilogy, and I think that you guys are really going to dig it. I'm putting a lot into this one. We're going to be playtesting it online next week.
Wow, very cool. All right, so I know we have another question from Phantom, but can you save that for just a second? Because I really want to make sure we dive into two primary topics that I want to talk today. Which one? Module design. So as DMs, we all create modules. We all have our own adventures. At some point, every DM is going to use a pre-published module, and most DMs are going to create their own stuff. You had some great thoughts for me on module design, including things like it's different for a campaign versus a one-shot, right? So I want to draw to both those points. So let's just talk about broader module design and how do you sit down? I think that goes to Phantom's question. How do you decide on the villain, the overall concept, and then let's migrate from that. And I'll ask a couple questions about one-shots. But how do you start out building a module?
Well, as a writer, I have a background. I have a BA in creative writing from Bowling Green. One of the things I became in touch with very early is there's that old saying about your eyes being bigger than your stomach when you sit down for a meal. I've learned very quickly to be able to decide what kind of ideas I have. I am capable, talent-wise, of executing. What is too ambitious for me. And I also know a little bit about what I think will have legs and what will not. For example, you could write a module you think might be really, really cool, and you guys have all seen this in terms of like PCs when you create them. Have you ever had an idea for your own character? You're like, oh wow, this character would be so cool, and then you think about it a little bit more, and you're like, it would be cool as an NPC because I can't execute that in terms of gameplay. It just would not work. It needs to have the DM kind of flesh it out and make events work around him or her so that it works in those.
So that's sort of to me like what you can execute or getting over your skis. Like maybe you've got something which is too grandiose, or you can't tie it together, or maybe within the content size that you want to.
Exactly, or maybe, even from a rule set perspective, maybe you think to yourself, I have this character that would really, really be cool. He uses psionic. Oh wait, we don't use psionics in this campaign.
Right.
So it could even be something like that. Well, you have to. The first thing I do is I think about what I can't execute, and I always try and when it comes back to the villains.
So let me interrupt you there because I really want to push on this point because I think this is a weakness of mine. I have enough hubris to think I can execute anything. So how do you reach that point of honesty with yourself? Is that about the length of the content? Is it about the maybe the okay? So for example, I do get a little bit scared. Nautical things. I know basic nautical terms, but I read some books and people that go super, super deep in that stuff, and I'm like, I don't know that, and I don't want to take the time to learn that. Is that what you make?
Okay. Yeah, I think that's a major thing. As a writer myself, one of the things you have to learn how to do is you have to embrace the process of research. Mm-hmm. You have to be able to, if you don't know something about something, you got to learn it. Like, for example, when I was writing Firewind, I did like a 6-month study on Icelandic plants just so I could figure out what my fauna and flora were going to look like. Things like that.
So are you saying I cannot write good modules if I'm not willing to spend 6 months researching Icelandic plants?
That was an extreme example for a source book. But
I think we just lost half our viewers, by the way, Carlos. I think they all fled. I'm just kidding.
But for example, that's the kind of thing you have to do is be able to embrace the research.
That's great.
As far as that goes. But for an idea of what I think to reset myself a bit, I take a hard, cold look at my book in concept. James Ward is a great module designer with the great old schoolers. He always told me that you start the very first thing you do is you create a random monster table. And that is so because you do that, you find out what is there. Okay? I actually don't follow that advice 100%. It's the second thing I do. I actually create the map first. Because I find the map environmentally informs the monsters that will be in there.
So you can
the two of them, you get a bigger picture.
So you can disavow the comment of the ever mysterious Tim that you don't just come up with the title and then figure out what it means. to create your mind.
The title usually comes to me about halfway through. As a writer, when I'm writing long prose and things like that, I usually just take a line from what I write, and it may not even be like a primary sentence or something like that. Something that I find evocative within my text.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
But I usually don't do that. But as far as what I can and can't execute again, once I'm done creating that outline, I sit back and I try and take the perspective of my reader or my audience. And I look at it and I honestly say to myself, would anybody actually have an interest in playing / buying / running this? If the answer is no, if the answer is that this does not ask any questions, this does not do anything groundbreaking, I'm probably not going to do it.
No, that's really good. That's great advice. And how do you, like, last question on that topic, how do you know maybe something that is your personal attachment, things that you like that are maybe particular to you but won't be appealing to a broader community? How much do you put yourself in the shoes of or do you just do what you love? That's
part of the idea of looking at it from the side of the people who are going to be seeing it in the public eye. There are characters, the only character I think that I truly really personally attached to that I've run and I've done anything module design with, there's probably two of them, and one of them is Igwaliv from When Comes a Witching Hour, and the second is Marquesa. Every single other thing I have done has been something that I think the community would like, or I think that my audience would like, my readers would like. And what I will try and do is, rather than write something that I think is cool, I will write something that they think is cool and make it cool to me.
That's awesome. I
will learn to love what I'm writing through the way that I am, because I have the ability to shape a lot of the continuity around it or within it, because I take things that really haven't been done much with. For example, the Sanguine Labyrinth that I wrote is all about a dungeon called the Dungeon of Bleeding Walls, which is in the Rivers of the Barrens lands. Really, there's 4 lines about it in the history of Greyhawk. The reason I chose that location was because it was tabula rasa. It was something I could do anything with and go ahead and it would still be authentic. Well, I knew nothing about it. I knew a couple players in the Greyhawk campaign that I'm aware of mentioned as a kind of a neat background to it. I thought to myself, okay, let's try this. I know it's going to have legs, but I really don't have any personal attachment to it. Well, it's time to develop it.
That's great.
And now I do a lot of stuff with Rovers of the Barrens that I never did before. Like, for example, Tim out there in the audience is running his game that he's running for a virtual Greyhawk Con is all based on the Rovers of the Barrens, which I think is amazing. That's tangential to what I did.
Well, especially because all the players are going to die in the first.
I influenced him in that at all. But
all the players are going to die in the first 10 minutes in Tim's game.
Of course they are. I'm fully prepared for that. No, what I'm saying is, because I wrote that, I became attached to that group of people somewhat, and so I saw Tim doing something like that. I was like, I got to be in on that.
That's awesome. No, I love it. So we had the question from Cold Steel Penguin. I popped the creds twice in chat. Go to Casl Entertainment. You can see the link in our chat. All the modules are available. He's got a Patreon. There are only a few Patreons I support. This is one of them. Anna, Carlos, they're incredible with what they do. Check it out. Go to castlentertainment.com. You can see it in the chat. We just dropped it a 3rd time with our Nightbot. And then also support the Patreon. And I don't say this lightly. Anybody that's followed me for any length of time, you know I'm kind of a snob. I'm very discerning about content, how things are written, how things are done. The first time I happened on Carlos stuff and I read how I was like, holy crap, like this is really good stuff. So if you have not seen it, you need to check it out. All right, so.
Thanks so much, man. I appreciate it.
Oh, no, man, that's like.
Your people enjoy what you're doing. And for the Patreon, I try so hard to give everybody their bang for their buck. Right now we're living in an economy that's not necessarily so strong, and I want to make sure that the people who decide that they can part with some money and they want to support me, that they're getting something for it. I mean, you're getting usually a 20-page mini module a month from me, in addition to what other things you might get if you're at a tier high enough to get that. So I work real hard on it, and I'm hoping that it resonates with people.
No, I think look, I said earlier, kind of jokingly, but brothers from another mother, that's a core philosophy of mine. Everything I do on my channel, I want to deliver value, I want to create content that things people love. I don't try to merchandise, I give away far more than I get. And I think that's something I observed in your content, that you just really want to give people quality and value, and that's why I wanted to have you on the show. So,
thank you so much.
No, you bet. All right, so look, we're getting a little bit short on time, but I have a couple other topics here. The one shot. Now, here's why I love talking about this. Dirty little secret. I've never run one. I've played the game since I was 8 years old. All I've ever done is run campaigns and get characters together for multiple. Part of me actually was maybe a bit snobbish. I was like, "What's a one shot? I mean, who wants to do a character?" But I think there is a lot of fun in that, and it's a great convention style. And talking to you, was it 2 weeks ago? I guess whenever we talked, you really opened my eyes to how this can work and how to do it. Things like pre-created characters versus generating your own characters, which I'm always like, I'm big on backstories and character generation and the depth and the lore. And you were like, well, wait a minute, but for a one shot, and it really made a lot of sense. So talk to us about your convention experience, and then maybe share with the audience the art of creating a one-shot campaign, or module, rather.
First of all, love you, Wu-Tang. Thank you very much for the kind words. My entire experience with gaming was much like yours, in that I was a campaign gamer all the way. I really didn't necessarily see the value in it. But after going to GaryCon and being thrust into the position of where I'm running a one-shot, I realized a few things about it, that it could be really, really effective.
Exactly.
Where in terms of a campaign is more like a TV series that you really, really
right,
love.
Yes.
It's episodic and you're loving it. But how many people out there love movies that are maybe out there every 3 years or 4 years, if there's a sequel at all? It's to me, the idea of the one shot is really compelling, because you can tell a self-contained story with a real beginning, middle, and end if you wish to. And it can come off in such a way that it's really fulfilling to the players, just maybe in some ways more than a campaign. Because haven't you guys been in there in campaigns where it's gone on for maybe a couple months and maybe you never get resolution, everybody breaks up or something like that, or maybe there's really no crescendo to it? In a one shot, because you have a finite period of time, you can do all these things. You can make it like a song in which you have the entry, you have the crescendo, you have the outro.
So is this what you would call the art of the one shot?
I would call it the art of the one shot to some degree. I mean, to me, the art of the one shot, though, it's all, if you love to design adventures, if you love to design modules, there is an art to it, to creating a one shot, and I really feel like it's a challenge to DMs, and I think it's something that you guys really, really enjoy trying out, because the whole idea, the whole conceptually, it's totally different. And I'll share with you a couple things I was telling to John in that chat. Like, for example, when we talked about pre-generated characters.
Right.
You've got 3 hours, perhaps, at a game table at a convention in a one-shot situation in which that you can get your point across. Are you really going to waste an hour of that creating characters around the table, getting backstories and things like that? Of course you're not.
Introducing themselves together in some organic way that takes 45 minutes to even agree that they want to work together.
Exactly. And instead what you're going to do is you're going to create pre-generated characters that you're going to disseminate in some way to the players around the table. There's a million ways to do it. I do a character draft, but...
which is what I'm going to do, by the way, based on your suggestion.
Yeah. Oh, thank you very much. And what you do is all the characters, when you design the characters, this is part of your design, give them raison d'etre to work together. Mention, hey, you were trained by the same person. Mention, hey, my sister is married to so-and-so. Hey, I know, all these little ways you can hook all the player characters together through these long, tenderly, personal interactions. Like,
tenderly? Is tenderly a word?
It is now.
You're a module creator, man. Make it a word.
but you, hey, remember, I'm creative writing.
You're a wordsmith. Yeah, I get it. I love it.
It was creative.
Tenderly. I like it.
But anyway, he, like, for example, what I'm writing right now for To the City of the Elder Gods, all the players are playing different agents of the Circle of Eight from Greyhawk. So they're all part of this legacy organization. So there's a built-in raison d'etre for them to want to work together. There's a compelling reason for them to want to go after the mission and to want to succeed. You can do it a million different ways.
No, that's fair. So go ahead.
When you lay out stuff like map design. Map design is one of the most critical components to a one-shot. For example, how many encounters are you going to have? Can you time them out well enough? Are you going to put something in the map in some extraneous place that you know the player characters are going to have to get to and they miss it? Or are you going to put some cool encounter?
Which was one of your key points to me, like make sure in a one-shot that there's not an opportunity for them to miss it. And I think this is a key difference between long-term campaigns and one-shots. You know, if, for example, if I'm trying to tie threads together in a campaign, I could take my time. Could be 2, 3, 4, 5 sessions, I'll pull it together. Or if they miss this item or this clue in this one, I can move it to this one. But in a one-shot, you only got one shot. Do not miss your chance to blow. This opportunity comes once in a lifetime, right?
Sure, and you have to make sure, remember, you're in a convention setting or you're in like a virtual Greyhawk Con setting. Generally speaking, you're not going to be able to pick and choose your players. You don't know who you've got around the table.
So you could have some daft ones.
You don't know what they like. You don't know what their motivation, their background is about, what they love about the game. You're going to have to learn how to read the table fast, and your adventure is going to have to be flexible enough that you can cater to a bunch of different needs all at the same time. So
no, that's so well said. I mean, and look, we've all. I saw something on an Instagram post today, like, you know, the DM with the simple puzzle he thinks he's given to the players, and it was a picture of this guy standing in front of a huge wall with all these threads tied across the different clues, and like, you know, just we've all had players that overthink it. You get into like a one shot, if they spend 45 minutes trying to figure out a simple puzzle, you've just ruined your game.
Absolutely, and you can't make. When you do design things, it's very easy to overlook a game breaker magic item or ability. And I'll give you a really, really good example of that. The Kill Marquesa game that I ran, there was a monk that's involved in it. Well, one of the ways that the people that are in they're defending Marquesa's stronghold is they're doing it with guard dogs. Well, what's a native ability of monks at a high level? Speak with animals. Got to remember that.
Right. So that's the beauty of like pre-gen characters, right? So if you've created the characters and the personas, you can plug certain skills, abilities, spells, inclinations. If they play the character right, they have what they need for that one shot.
I'll give you another example. I wrote a story one time. It was kind of a play-by-post thing back in maybe 15 years ago. And the setting that I put everybody in was, there was an effect there called the Eternal Winter. It had been snowing for years now. Nobody knew why. And really what I was trying to do is, there were two things there. Yes, it's one of the heralds of Ragnarok, if you follow the poetic.
Sure.
But there's a main reason why I did it. That's because I didn't want to have to describe background every scene. If I could put a constant backdrop, hey, it's snowing, it's white, it's cold out there, I didn't have to describe background all the time, and it allowed me to go directly to plot points that I wanted to hit without doing all this expository. That's a good example of how you can control environment. And you can do that in a one-shot too, by saying, hey, listen, this is how everything in the area is flooded. Okay, well, that's cool, but how does that affect things? Well, for demi-human characters, it might slow them down. All of a sudden, by slowing down the slowest member of your group, that's the rate that generally that parties move at. So all of a sudden, you've changed the whole tempo of the way that they're going to go through an adventure. And that's something you can use. If you've only got like 5 or 6 encounters in your adventure, no problem, because you've just changed the tempo of their exploration by doing that.
That's so good, especially for somebody like me who is a campaign, epic snob. Now, I'm not Jay Scott, right? I've not run anything for 40 frickin' years contiguously. But, my campaigns have been 4 years, 6 years, 8 years, and that's always how I think. But frankly, I'm ashamed to admit this, I've never been to a con. and I'm changing that. I'm going to start going to some of these cons as soon as well, of course I got the virtual
there
one.
Are cons
yeah, the virtual con. But as soon as cons are back, post COVID, I'm going to some cons, and I really want to enjoy it because it's a different style, and I think it's inspirational. It really can open things up. So anyway,
you got to do the best one in America, John. Gary Con in Wisconsin.
I want to I want to go to the motherland. I want to go back to the roots in Wisconsin. That is super exciting to me. So look,
that's the one.
It is the one. Okay. Hey, we'll meet up there. Hey, so a couple things before we close off. One, I think it was Grendelwolf. Lord Grendelwolf said so aptly. As we say on Blue Box, normally we say, hey, if you're watching this right now and you haven't given us a follow, but we're going to change it to, if you're watching us right now and you haven't given us a follow, or if you're watching and you haven't gone on to Carlos's site and signed up on his Patreon, we have one question for you, Evelyn. What's the question? What are you doing? Come on, give us a follow. Check out Carlos. This Patreon is amazing. Support old school D&D, a community that's impassioned, and we love the game. And we are going to do great things. I think 2021 is going to be our year for old school D&D.
I actually have a comment on one shot since
oh my God, Evelyn! Yes, okay.
Since I'm actually about to run one.
Awesome. Cool.
Yeah. As someone who is going to be very new to DMing, because I've never run a game before, I've always been just a player and things, I find it's actually a really good way to introduce yourself to DMing, like get your feet wet in the whole world of like how the structure of a game should go. So I think that's another benefit of the one shot and module setups like that, is just to get that feel and then be able to kind of stretch it out over the length of a campaign.
And Evelyn, what it will allow you to do, you'll find out, is it will allow you to control the aspects of the game that you feel strongest at, and eschewing the ones that you don't like. Like, for
exactly.
example, if you like more of a hardcore combat game, you can do that. Where if you want something a little bit more social interaction, it's easier to do that. If there's certain monster abilities that you don't like to adjudicate, it's easy to ignore them.
Right, yeah, and I think that's the really nice thing, especially for new DMs, is just kind of getting the feel through the one-shot setup, where a full-length campaign might be a little daunting, when you're starting off. And I'm currently world building for an eventual full campaign, but until then, I'm just trying to try it out and see how it feels. So yeah,
will we
that's
be able
awesome.
to see this online? Are you gonna stream it or anything?
that is the plan.
Awesome.
Actually,
Keep us posted.
on Blue Box eventually, it is my plan to be sharing what I am currently working on. So
she's got a one shot she's going to do, I think, the week I'm out here coming up early September, and that's not going to be streamed, but that's going to be her kind of initial foray. And then yes, we're planning on full Evelyn DMing her own stuff on Blue Box here in the coming months. It's going to be multiple DMs and content, and she's just so amazing. I really want to support her creativity, and of course we're partners in this thing. All right, so we got to get ready to raid Jay, so don't leave us yet because we want to give Jay a good raid. But yes, you can check out Carlos' Patreon. I dropped the creds. I think someone else, Amanda Rue, did as well. You can see the site up here. It is fantastic content. Carlos, literally, man, I could talk to you all freaking night long. So we're going to have to do this.
I'm just warming up.
Yeah, I know. Me too. Like, I just feel like I'm just getting started. We're used to Jay's shows. Like, all of his chats are like 4 hours. But I actually would go longer tonight, but I don't want to infringe on Jay's time. I like to raid, and because we got a lot of our viewers that like his as well. So we're going to pop in there. But I'd like to get you back on here maybe sometime in September, and maybe we'll even start a little earlier. I think we could carve out 90 minutes. I want to really drive home on some of these things, maybe have some practical examples. Maybe we could even do a competition. Have our viewers create maybe a sample adventure or a puzzle or some element of what you would put into a module that they could enjoy, and then you could judge and pick the winner.
Absolutely, and maybe even what we could do is if they're interested, if you find interest in something like that, we can include it in publication and give somebody full credit for it.
Oh, that would be freaking awesome. All right, so you heard it right here. I'm going to hold him to that. Upcoming sometime in the next 30, 45 days, Carlos and I will get together. We'll figure out another time that works. And then in addition to mining all the fantastic content from his brain, plus the little bit that's in mine and the copious amounts that are in Evelyn's, and then we'll have a contest, and you could develop something which will be featured and credited in an upcoming Casl Entertainment module. How awesome would that be? Hey, look, thank you so much to all of our chat and viewers. Give Carlos a check out on his Patreon. Give us a follow if you haven't already, and I'm going to set up to raid Jay. Any parting thoughts, Evelyn and or Carlos, before I kick the raid?
Thank you guys so much for having me. Evelyn, it was great meeting you, and I'm really eager to see your one-shot. John, thank you so much for having me, and I'm eager to do this again when we can talk more philosophy about design, and I'm eager to see what your fans come up with.
No, I am too. It's going to be fun. All right, so Jay's just
you're in on that too. By the way, you can feel free to throw something in up there.
Yeah, absolutely. Please do. All right, you guys are both fantastic. Thank you so much for a great night. We're going to raid Jay. He's got 16. I think we're going to pop another 30 or so on top of that. And thank you for all of our viewers tonight.
Yes,
thank you again
guys.
to the amazing Evelyn. Thank you so much to Carlos. This is Blue Box, Loremasters Arcanum signing out. Have a great night, everybody, and we are raiding now.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.
Awesome. That's great.
How'd you guys think? Did it go okay?
Oh, that was
awesome.
Are you kidding? That was fan-freaking-tastic, man.
Good. I want to make sure I just didn't go on too many tangents.
Oh no, it was perfect, Carl. Like you make the best guest because I can give you just one thing and you'll go off and everything you say is interesting. Like you don't go on any like total rabbit trails. Nothing is off track. I just thought that was so much fun. My only criticism is the beard. I miss the beard, man.
Oh man, you're killing me. Well, my Hawks got eliminated, so the playoff beard had to go. The playoff beard had to go.
No worries. Well, hey, so
and plus, as handsome as you are, I couldn't do it.
Oh, stop that! Stop. So hey, look, it's funny though. If you haven't watched, and I know you've only caught some of them, but like the last night's Greyhawk Awakening, that was a pretty emotional. Holy crap! People are talking about it all over the internet.
Yeah, I got the context of it in the chat that people are really emotionally invested in it. So I'm eager to see it. I'm in the middle of doing the edits right now to the City of the Elder Gods. So I haven't really had a whole lot of free time.
No. Yeah, sorry, that was You do you. I'm just like when you get time, it's worth it. But the point is like, whew, man. And then I had one other thought I was going to say to you.
Was it beard related?
Oh, yeah, it was beard. It was beard related. Yes, look, you're the best, Evelyn. So Josh, the player who plays Brim on our Greyhawk Awakening campaign, NPC voices. He's a great voice actor. He wants to be an actor, but he's a hardcore role player. He DMs. He's got his own Twitch stream. He's a great guy. Young. He's like 24, I think, or something. He's just getting started. Anyway, he and I have been talking for several weeks, and we want to do a charitable stream. So we're doing one on September 1st, and it's for Save the Children, which is a group that's designed to help combat child trafficking and children who are abused for pornography and other sorts of child trafficking means. And on that charitable stream, he's agreed for every unit of whatever's given, we're going to figure that number out. He's going to shave. He's got this glorious beard.
His beard is glorious.
His beard,
He's a Viking.
I have such, he is like Ragnar. He's just got this gorgeous beard. He's going to shave it off on stream as people donate to Save the Children, and then I am going to match dollar for dollar everything that's given that night to Save the Children. So I'll make sure we get you involved in that as well, since you've already shaved your beard.
Well, what I was thinking of is maybe there's a way that Casl Entertainment could donate some stuff for a giveaway or something.
Oh, yeah.
That'd be awesome.
Oh, that could be good. And by the way, I'm really leaning toward the Sewer and the Red Rover. The Lost Dog. Yeah, Lost Dog. I liked your mini module, but I didn't see any. There were no pre-gen characters. I didn't think.
That's right. The pre-gen characters don't. I don't do pre-gens for.
Which makes sense, right? But so I got to pull something together pretty quick, and I think Lost Dog is cool. I'm actually going to probably go spend a couple $100 or more on Dwarven Forge and get all their sewer sets, so I can have that set up. Because I really want to do it right. But I think I'm going to feature Lost Dog.
If you have any questions about it, oh, you know what? There is for the Patreon at higher levels, I give the director's cut, which is I put a bonus encounter in there.
Oh.
So maybe I can hit you with a bonus encounter for that when you're already a Patreon. So I don't really mind doing that.
Yeah, I'm already a Patreon.
It will help you or you like it. It's a little bit. It's pretty creepy. The bonus
Ooh,
encounter.
I would love to do that. Yeah, because I like because I am. I think I'm a Christian. I don't get into I don't do lots of hardcore cussing. I mean, I don't care if my players do a little bit. I'm not prudish about it, but I do like getting into dark and gritty subjects and things that challenge.
Yeah, I think you'll like this because the big bad in that one, the were-rat, he bit a little girl who is in the sewers too, and she doesn't like him at all. She's her own thing to the side, and she's kind of creepy. I think you might dig.
That is absolutely up my alley. I would love to. So you know I'm already a Patreon, right? I signed it. Yeah. So yeah, send that to me. I'm going to start working on that over the next couple of weeks. Because I would.
Any questions about it? Just let me know. I'd be more than happy to answer.
Fantastic. All right. Well, Evelyn, any parting thoughts?
Not that I can think of. I'm just over here doing businessy things.
You're crushing it. Look, I mean, for us, Carlos, we're averaging. I mean, heck, we've only got 580 something followers, and we're hitting 60, 70, 80 viewers on our Tuesday night stream. We hit 40 something tonight on just a chat, and I know that's not Jay numbers, but he's got 6, 7 times the followers that we have. So I just think the engagement that we have in this community is super exciting, and I think that's going to be a great future for Jay and I as we both share back and forth with viewers and content. And man, it was just such a pleasure to have you on tonight. So I'm going to let you get back to your family. Say hi to Amanda for me.
I will do that. Evelyn, it was really a pleasure meeting you. Thank you so much.
It was very nice meeting you too.
Evelyn, say hi to Esther and Matt for me.
I will.
And you are the best. You guys have a great night.
Yeah, bye now.
Bye-bye.